Weather Center, I do apologize for interrupting programming, but we do have a very significant storm just south of Lamar. We do have a rotation in this storm, also with a tornado warning. Now notice all the areas in red that you're looking at right now, that is under a tornado watch. Again, the red box you were looking at with this storm tracking just south of Lamar, that is a tornado warning. We have had reports of funnel clouds out of this storm. The area of concern is right here where you can see this little hook. That's where the storm is trying to rotate. Again, we have had funnel clouds out of this storm, multiple storm chaser reports of that. So again, tornado is likely going to touch down out of this system right now. It seems to be staying south of Lamar. It's been tracking about 20 to 25 miles an hour. So as you notice, as that tracks to the northeast, it looks like Parrish is going to be the next town in its path, expected to reach that area about 4:49 this afternoon. So again, if you are in the path of this storm, obviously get to the innermost room of your house, take shelter immediately. And again, the other thing we've been seeing with this storm is tennis ball sized hail. So very, very large hail out of this system, very gusty winds and upwards of 70 miles an hour. We're going to stick with you here for at least a few more minutes just to kind of keep you up to date on this cell and make sure it's going to completely move out of the Lamar region, which again, as that Doppler radar updates, it does appear to be moving toward Parrish right now. So again, moving out of the most heavily populated area. However, we do have more smaller towns in the path of this storm. Kind of to recap what we've been looking at, this storm has been producing, again, golf ball sized hail. Very, very gusty winds, upwards of 70 miles an hour. And again, those tennis ball sized hail out of this storm. And we have had reports of funnels nearly touching the ground. There has been a few reports of those funnels actually touching down and producing a tornado. So again, this storm is showing significant rotation. If you are in the path of this storm, make sure you seek shelter immediately and use caution there. Now the radar I'm showing you right now, this is a velocity radar. This is actually looking inside the storm and it shows us the area of rotation. Reason I want to show you this is it paints a very clear picture of where exactly this storm is. The area in red here, that is the rotation of the storm just south of Lamar. Notice again, it is tracking to the north and east right now, so it appears to be going just south of Lamar. But again, we want to stay with you on this system and make sure it doesn't just jet up north on us. We had a couple storms do that yesterday, so I want to just make very, very sure that you're all safe out there and we keep you up to date on this storm. Again, the area we're looking at right now is this area in red. That is where the rotation of the storm is. So again, this radar is just physically looking inside of that storm. This particular shot is again a 3D radar that we're looking at the storm, and you notice you can literally see the wall cloud on this storm and the growth of this storm. So very, very tall, strong system. The taller that storm gets, the bigger the hail is going to be. And again, we have had storm reports of tennis ball sized hail. So if you are in the path of this storm, not only are we tracking a likely tornado out of this system, we're also tracking very, very large hail out of this system. And notice just how tall and how big that storm has got on the 3D Doppler. Again, just painting in on the reflectivity Doppler here, notice right in this little hook area, that's the area of the core of the storm where you're going to see the largest hail, the possible rotation, and again, likely a tornado out of this system. A few of those towns that we're keeping an eye on, West Farm right now, tracking toward Parrish. So it looks like it's staying south of Lamar, looks like it's going to stay south of May Valley as well, but this system is tracking north and east. And notice, every time that Doppler radar updates, it's still showing rotation. It has not really lost any strength as this system has continued to move north and east, moving north and east at about 20 miles an hour. Again, we've seen winds upwards of 70 miles an hour out of this storm, tennis ball sized hail. So damage to vehicles is pretty much imminent out of this storm. If you are in the path of this storm, seek the innermost room of your house immediately and seek shelter immediately, because this storm again does have a history of producing tornadoes and does have a history of producing funnel clouds. We do not have a confirmed tornado on the ground at this time. However, there is a strong possibility. Now, we want to take you over now. I have Greg Miller standing by. We also have a picture of this storm. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll definitely take a look at that now. Greg, let's send things over to you and see if we can take a look at this picture and kind of see what's going on from this storm.
Yeah, to our guys in the control room, if you can pull up the computer image that we have, and this is a photo that we just received a few moments ago, and you can see there the kind of the swirling nature. I'm not a trained expert in this, but obviously very scary moments, and that's the thing we need to get across to people right now. We do not have any reports of confirmed damage. We just talked to emergency officials in the area. They say that they have not seen any confirmed damage as a result of any tornado, but we're still watching this, and as you can see from this photo on our Facebook page, just how big this storm is. I mean, so clearly it's a really wide shot there, and you know, tornado warnings. And to bring the point home to folks, even though we had the warning, we have not had a confirmed touchdown yet. We do want to stress that you need to take cover immediately, because that can change so quickly with such an unstable storm. I'm looking to see what other photos we have, and again, if you have any photos, and if you're living in the area and you have any photos. Obviously, safety is important first. We don't want you to put yourself in harm's way, but if you are in a safe position to where you can take a picture or any video, we would like to see it, and that's on our Facebook page at KRDO. Let's go back to Jason.
Yeah, and the picture you were just looking at, again, I'm going to back up to that 3D Doppler. You saw that big shelf coming out of the storm. That's a huge indicator that the storm is rotating. Anytime you get that textbook rotation, it creates that shelf, and again, that's telling us that this storm has a lot of strength, is capable of producing very, very large hail, and again does have a history of rotation. Now again, this storm has very, very significant height on it, so we're continuing to keep an eye on that. Currently it is tracking northeast at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. The area, or the core of this storm, again, is pretty much moved to the south and east of Lamar right now, but it is tracking right toward it's hard to see that town there, West Farm, excuse me, and then tracking toward Parrish right now as well. So again, if you are in the line of this storm, use caution, seek shelter immediately. As you just saw with that picture that we did have sent in from a viewer, this storm is showing significant rotation. The radar shot I'm showing you right now, again, is velocity radar. This is showing us where in the storm there is that actual rotation. So the reason I want to stay on air with you and make sure that you are safe is, again, this storm is showing rotation just south of Lamar, fairly heavily populated area. So the area in red right here, that is the area of the storm that potentially could produce a tornado. We have had reports of funnel clouds and a few minor touchdowns out of this storm. So far, there is no confirmed tornado on the ground. There's no damage, but again, this storm is likely going to produce a tornado or could produce further funnel clouds. To kind of track out this storm for you, again, it is moving northeast at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Parrish is going to be the next town in its path. Again, that should impact Parrish right about 4:49. Currently, we are at 4:28 right now, so it does have a little bit of time to get there, but notice there is a few of those smaller towns in the path. So if you do live in the path of this storm, just again, get to the innermost region of your house as quickly as you possibly can and just seek shelter immediately. Notice the red box, again, that is where the actual tornado warning is right now. That is currently active and again has continued to be extended as the afternoon progresses. Looking at the core of this storm, it looks like Lamar is in the clear. However, we do have another strong cell behind this storm. We'll keep our eye on that. But the one of concern right now, again, is the one just south and east of Lamar. Now, again, that green box there, that is going to be a flood warning as well. So any creeks and streams in this area, just due to the heavy rainfall, likely going to see some flooding out of this system. So again, a lot of weather effects we're going to continue to keep an eye on. Kind of paint the picture of what we've got going on. Again, the National Weather Service has issued a tornado watch for the entire eastern half of the state, and that is again set to expire bright and early at 12 a.m. Monday. So we're going to be likely seeing a few of these pop-up cells as the evening progresses. Again, the one we're keeping our eye on now really is for the most part out of the Lamar region, but is still tracking north and east. Again, the next town in its path, larger town I should say, is going to be Parrish, but there is a few ranch communities in that area. Again, with the velocity radar right now, we're actually looking inside the storm to show you where that rotation is. The red circle here, that is the area of the storm that is rotating. Notice it is finally starting to break out of Lamar for the most part, but again, I apologize for interrupting programming, but I want to stay with you just to make sure this storm does stay out of the area and stay out of the heavily populated areas, and just to keep you safe. If you are in the line of this storm, again, seek the most inner room of your house. Plan for golf ball sized hail. All right, we've had gusts of wind up to 70 miles an hour out of this storm. So in combination of those few systems, even if there isn't a tornado, there's likely going to be some very significant damage. You're looking at a 3D Doppler right now. This again is giving us a very clear picture of just how tall that storm is, and again we've shown you pictures of just how much rotation and how tightly knit this storm is. That's a very strong indicator that again this storm is capable of producing a tornado, is showing significant rotation. The taller this storm gets, the stronger and the larger the hail is going to be. So right now we have we have reports of upwards of tennis ball sized hail out of this storm. So to kind of put that in perspective, I mean that's literally about the size of this clicker, about the size of the palm of your fist. So very, very large hail out of this system. Damage is pretty much going to happen if you live in the area of this storm. Notice we still do have that core of the storm tracking to the northeast, just south of West Farms right now, tracking toward Parrish. So far, the National Weather Service has kept this tornado warning in effect just due to this storm not really losing much strength. Now, Greg, do we have any more photos in? Have we got any more in?
No, we haven't. And
okay.
So far, again, the good news associated with this so far is that we have not seen any reports of confirmed damage yet.
Okay.
We're talking to somebody right now. The gentleman who sent us that photo a second ago, his name's Patrick Garuli. I don't know if we can pull that up again just to show the size of the storm. It looks like he took the picture far enough away to where you can see the full brunt of just how big this thing was, and frankly, the difference in the shear that Jason was talking about there. Again, no reports of any damage from emergency management officials right now, and no reports of anything other than just maybe some downed limbs and things like that, which you would typically see with a strong thunderstorm moving through the area. Again, to bring up Jason's point that he's been talking about for the last few minutes, we don't have a confirmed touchdown on the ground yet, but obviously whenever tornadoes happen, or a tornado situation, a possibility for a tornado coming down is what I'm trying to say, a tornado warning. It means the conditions are favorable and those conditions can change so fast. So far, like we said, no damage to report, only what you'd see with a typical thunderstorm this time of year, but we're still working to get more information. And again, if you've seen anything, we want to hear from you. You can send us pictures and videos to our email at krdonews@krdo.com and also on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Jason, anything from you right now?
Yeah, if we could, I want to put that picture back up on the screen here real quick just to show you exactly what that storm is capable of producing. And again, okay, just as we started talking again here, the National Weather Service has extended that tornado warning and moved it further east. Entire eastern half of the state right now in the light shaded red, that is a tornado watch. We're likely going to see more of these cells pop up as the afternoon progresses. Again, giving you a closer look at that storm system right now. See, it's starting to show that rotation again, so this storm just does not want to lose strength. It's got a lot of elements to work with out there. We've had reports of tennis ball sized hail. So again, very, very large hail. We've seen winds upwards of 70 miles an hour out of this storm, and again, very, very heavy rain. So flooding small creeks and streams in this area is imminent. Damage due to the hail is also imminent. And again, you notice this second box that the National Weather Service has issued. That again is another tornado warning for this system. So it's not losing any strength, folks. It is just maturing as it continues to track off east. The good news, it looks like it's pretty much past Lamar. I don't suspect this storm's going to jet north or anything like that. Should continue to track off to the north and east, but if you live in this area, I still recommend, if you live in Lamar, just stay in the innermost room of your house. Use extra caution, get to the lowest level of your house possible as well, just because this storm, again, has a history of producing funnel clouds. We have had a few touchdowns. Currently, we do not have a tornado on the ground, but again, this storm is very capable of this, and it looks like we've got another one starting to kick up a few notches here behind it as well. We'll definitely want to keep our eye on that. Now, chances are this storm is not going to have quite the juice as this one. Simple fact, the air is going to be a lot cooler after this storm moves through, so this one's not going to have nearly the amount of elements that first storm had. That's not to say that it's not going to produce hail and possibly a tornado, but this storm right here is the one we need to keep our eye on. And the huge indicator, again, that this does show rotation is just this kind of little kidney bean shape. Anytime you start to see the core of that storm wrapping around itself like that, that is telling us that there is significant updrafts. The stronger the updraft, the taller the storm, the larger the hail. We've had tennis ball sized hail reported out of the storm, even larger in some areas. Again, we're continuing to get pictures from you. If you do live in this area and you can safely take pictures or video, please send them into our Facebook or email us at krdonews@krdo.com. We would love to see these pictures, and with these pictures we can kind of help to analyze this storm a little bit better and show you exactly where it is tracking. To give you an idea where this storm, again, it is tracking out of the region right now. I realize this hasn't been updated for you, but the next town in its path is going to be Parrish. That should impact the area roughly about 4:40 to 4:49 this afternoon. So if you do live in the town of Parrish, get to the lowest level of your house possible. Use some extra caution. And again, just find the innermost room of your house. If you're out driving around, try to find a large building to get into, something that you will be safe, because again, this storm does have that history of producing funnel clouds. We have had a few tornado touchdowns and very, very large hail. Looking at the velocity radar right now. This is, again, physically looking inside the storm. Looks like it's losing a little bit of its rotation, but we still do have a distinct area of rotation. That is going to be these two blotches in red that you're looking at right now. Those are inside the storm. That is where the storm is physically rotating. And I like to show you this because it really paints the picture of where this storm potentially could push out a tornado. So again, we just want to make sure you're safe and again, continue to stay safe. Now, we've been showing you pictures and there's this distinct shelf cloud on the front of this storm. I like to show you the 3D Doppler because again, it's showing us actually what this storm looks like without physically looking at a picture. And you notice these little overhangs on the top. That's going to be the overshooting top of the storm. The more of that we get and the taller this storm gets, the bigger the hail and lightning is going to be. So far, we've had tennis ball sized hail out of this storm. Again, we have a very, very distinct shelf on this storm, and it doesn't really appear to be losing much strength. So far, it's been tracking northeast at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. Again, still showing rotation out of this storm. Anytime we start to get these little hooks in that system, that's the areas we need to use severe caution on. Notice the storm right now seems to be staying south of West Farm. However, if you do live in the West Farm region, again, use some caution. Get to the innermost room of your house immediately and take caution there. If you're out driving around, try to find a building to get into. This storm, again, does have that history of producing tornadoes. We have had some tornadoes touch down. Currently, we do not have a report of a tornado on the ground, but again, we have seen very, very large hail out of this system. Winds alone, 70-mile-an-hour winds coming out of this storm. Currently, it is tracking toward Parrish right now, so again, we'll continue to keep an eye on this storm as the afternoon progresses. And also flooding. Flooding is going to be a major concern in this area. We've had a lot of storms move throughout the eastern plains over the past few days, and frankly, the ground is saturated. Creeks and streams are running very, very high. So any rain out of this storm is just going to increase that already high risk of flooding. Now, have we got any more pictures in that you know of, Greg? I want to see if we've... Okay,
this
Dave
is a picture from Dave
LaFrost.
LaFrost.
All right,
yeah.
let's see if we could pull that up on the green screen here and see what we've got. Again, Dave sending this picture in to us here. And again, is this from Lamar area?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So in other words, what we're looking at here, again, we showed you this on the 3D Doppler. You notice that big shelf coming out of this storm. Anytime the storm is tightly knit like that, that's telling us there's a significant amount of rotation. The entire storm is rotating, all right? So again, this is likely the leading edge of that storm moving in. And again, this was taken just outside of Lamar, so thank you for sending that in. If you are in a location where you can send in a photo to us safely, it'd be very, very helpful just so we can have kind of an idea where this storm is and exactly how it's playing out. Greg, I'm going to send it over to you for just a few moments so I can update some graphics here for you.
Yeah, guys, if we can pull up the picture that we've got coming in right now I'm looking at it off to my side here. This is from Dave LaForest, and it's another shot of what we're seeing there, kind of what Jason was talking about. You can see that immense dark cloud that's coming through. And again, we just talked to the county emergency management officials in the area, and the good news is so far there are no reports of damage. Looks like everything's mainly staying intact. Again, to remind folks of what we have in the area right now, a funnel cloud was sighted, but there was no confirmation of a tornado from a storm spotter. So what Jason's been talking about throughout the day is that the conditions are obviously very favorable for this, but so far it looks like while there may be a little bit of rotation in the skies, it doesn't look like anything's been coming down. And actually, okay, take back what I just said. Storm Tracker 13 meteorologist Jay Polka telling us that there was a confirmed touchdown. Working to get a little bit more information. He's on the phone with our newsroom right now. I don't know what else we can get on that, but again, that's coming from our meteorologist Jay Polk, who's been watching the situation as well out in the field. I'm not exactly sure his location right now, but he is saying that there was a confirmed touchdown. Jason, let's send things back to you.
Yeah, definitely. Again, the National Weather Service has issued a tornado watch. Notice that has extended slightly a little bit further west right now, but again, most of the eastern half of the state is under that tornado watch. Now, again, we want to stay on air with you. Again, we apologize for interrupting programming, but this storm has been tracking just south of some very, very heavily populated areas. As Greg just told you, we do have confirmation of tornadoes touching down out of this storm. We have had multiple funnel clouds out of this storm. There is quite a few spotters in this area who have been keeping an eye on this for us. Thank goodness. We've had reports of at least tennis ball sized hail, if not larger. And to put that in perspective, that's literally about the size of this weather clicker, okay, or the size of your fist. So very, very big, big hail. Also, winds have been a huge issue. Winds upwards of 70 miles an hour out of this storm. If you are in the path of this storm, get to the most inner room of your house immediately, the lowest level of your home. Just use extra caution out there. If you're driving around, again, please just use some caution, or if you know anybody, get a hold of them for sure. Now, we do have this storm behind that system tracking in. Does not look to have near the strength of this first cell. However, still likely going to produce more rain, possibly some hail as well. And we do have, looks like a flood warning, the area highlighted in green there. And again, that's just due to the fact we've had tons of rain over the past few days. Obviously, any extra rain on top of this storm, well, or on top of the currently high creeks and streams, is just going to really add to things. Okay, putting on the tracker here, notice it looks like the next town that this is going to impact would be into the Bristol area. So it's tracking northeast right now at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. These are not set in stone numbers, folks, all right? Keep that in mind. These are just as a reference to tell you if you do live in one of these cities, again, looking to hit about, Bristol about 501. That could pick up a little bit of speed, but again, right now it is tracking northeast just outside of Lamar. Good news is if you do live in the city of Lamar, that storm finally has made it out of the region. What we're showing you right now is going to be your velocity radar. That's physically looking inside the storm to show you where the rotation of this system is. So this little red circle right here, that is the area we really need to keep our eye on. That is the portion of the storm that potentially could produce a tornado if this storm continues to pick up strength. And so far, the National Weather Service has continued to extend this tornado warning. So again, we'll want to keep you posted on that. And it looks like, Greg, you have a little more information for us here.
Yeah, but let's keep Jason on the map if we can for just a second,
Great.
because the latest we have from the Weather Service right now is that the tornado warning continues, that the storm is south to southeast of Lamar and moving northeast, and it is a confirmed touchdown.
Okay. Is it on the ground currently as we speak?
Just a touchdown.
Just a touchdown.
It's not still on the ground as far as we know.
Okay.
So kind of just to back up what you've been saying there, and you can kind of just display where you think the worst likely place would be for this to actually come down.
Sure, exactly.
Where the worst case scenario would be for that.
Exactly. The worst case scenario right now, again, you notice this just little kind of hook going right here. Kind of look for a kidney bean shape, and that's exactly what we've got going in this storm. So again, into the southwestern portions of this storm, that's where there potentially could be a tornado. Again, to kind of give you a better idea of that, I want to show you our velocity radar again. This little red circle, whoops, as I back it up here one more, that little red circle right there, that again is the area of the storm that could produce the tornado. As you just heard from Greg, we have had reports of quite a few funnel clouds, and it sounds like a few touchdowns. We do not have a tornado on the ground at this particular moment. However, this storm is capable of producing a tornado. Obviously it has, and it hasn't really lost much strength either. And again, I really like to show you the 3D Doppler just for the simple fact that it really shows just how strong this storm is, and you notice how that overshooting top, it almost cones up on the top. Reason for that, the storm is growing, all right? As long as we continue to see this top on that storm, the storm is going to continue to grow, and the stronger this storm and the taller this storm grows, the larger that hail is going to be. So far, we've had tennis ball-sized hail, so do keep that in mind, all right? Tennis ball-sized hail out of this storm, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, so very, very gusty out there, and again, very, very heavy rain. And again, this is the shelf cloud. Now, I don't know if could we pull up one of those photos that we had in here, folks, in back? Again, appreciate everybody in back taking care of us here and helping us get all these graphics on TV for you to keep you safe and everything. But again, you're looking at the overshooting top of this storm and just this big overhang. That is, again, going to be the shelf. They call that the shelf cloud. So, again, if you see that moving into your area, that's the area of the storm that's really going to paint the picture that this is a big big guy, and it is moving in. If there was to be a tornado out of this storm, it's going to be right toward the back of this storm right here. Again, we've showed you that a couple of times on the velocity radar. The areas in red, those are the areas of the storm showing a little bit of rotation. So again, if you do live in the track of this storm, just please take caution. Again, right now it looks to be tracking toward Bristol. We're going to continue to keep an eye on this storm. I'm just looking as this radar came in and updated this last image here, and you notice, again, we're just hanging on to that kidney bean shape, so it's really not dissipating much for us. Still keeping an eye on a line of storms behind this system. This storm is more likely going to just produce heavy rain. This storm, again, right here is the one we want to keep our eye on. As for tornadoes, again, we still have quite a bit of rotation in this system. If you do live in the path of this storm, seek shelter immediately and definitely plan for damaging hail. We've had storm spotters tell us that we've had hail upwards of tennis ball sized hail, winds 60 to 70 miles an hour out of this storm. And again, we've had multiple touchdowns out of this storm, and we've had multiple funnel clouds. So this storm is very, very capable of producing a tornado. And I realize it is not moving into a crazy heavy populated area, but there's still a lot of folks that do live out throughout the eastern plains in that area. So please, if you do live in this area, just plan ahead. Get to the lowest most room of your house and just take shelter immediately. Again, this storm is tracking to the northeast about 20 to 25 miles an hour. These are by no means set in stone, all right, folks? Again, those numbers just kind of give you an estimate of idea when this storm potentially could move into your neck of the woods. Again, taking another look into the side of the storm, again, to kind of give you a feel, these radar shots are going to update anywhere from about 5 to 7 minutes or so. So again, that's why we want to stay with you and just make sure we stay ahead of the storm on this and keep you posted. And again, we have not lost the rotation out of this storm. Still very, very distinct rotation in this storm. There's a strong possibility we will continue to see funnel clouds out of this storm. Also likely tornado touchdowns. We've had a few confirmed touchdowns already, and we also have had quite a few reports of funnel clouds out of this storm. So the rotation is there. All the elements are there to produce a very, very heavy supercell thunderstorm. Well, I should say it is producing a supercell thunderstorm. Looking at our 3D Doppler right now, again, there's a lot of things we can determine from this. Okay, right here, this cone shape, that's an indication of how large the hail is. The taller this storm is going to get, okay, the larger the hail is going to get. Anytime you get an overshooting top like that, the convection inside that storm is just absolutely blowing up, and that again is what's keeping those large pieces of hail up in the cloud. And the longer that hail stays up in the cloud, the bigger it's going to get. So do keep that in mind. We've had reports of, again, tennis ball sized hail. This is going to be the overshooting top. What this is telling us here is that we have strong upper level winds driving this system. That's what's providing the rotation to this storm. So again, as you get this big flat kind of cone-shaped top shooting out like that, they call that the shelf cloud. All right, that again is what's telling us that we do have rotation in this storm and that there's a lot of different winds. And what I mean by that, they call that wind shear. All right, you have multi-directional winds on this storm, and that's what's causing the rotation out of this system. So again, if you do live in the path of this storm, make sure you take shelter immediately. Plan ahead. We've seen very, very heavy rain, tennis ball sized hail out of this storm, winds 60 to 70 miles an hour. So just a very, very strong cell. Still showing a pretty significant core to this cell as well. If you live in the West Farm area, you're likely seeing very large hail right now. So far, this system is tracking northeast. So again, if you live in any of these towns in this area, it looks like May Valley there is going to be out of the clear for this storm. So far, it looks to be tracking. But see, there it is again, just that tightly knit little hook. Again, that hook echo in the side of the core of the storm, that again is the area that potentially could continue to produce tornadoes. Again, we've had multiple touchdowns out of this storm. We have had reported funnel clouds. Greg, do we have any more photos in on this storm, or do we have anything we could show folks? Maybe pull up one of the storms.
Yeah, we're working on getting we're getting them into us right now. I believe this one is from
Okay.
Mike Obinsky. If we can pull that one
Perfect.
up really
And I'm
quick.
going to go ahead and hear that. That's a perfect,
Yeah, go ahead and take it. Go ahead and get an update on that storm. We'll take you through what we know so far. This one from Mike Obinsky. You can see a really panoramic shot, it looks like, of the storm that's in Lamar. We should tell you we've been also talking to been talking to one of our viewers out there. He says that there wasn't any. Patrick Garuli, I believe is his name. It's he says that there has been no damage reported yet. They haven't seen anything that has come through when they saw that when they saw the funnel cloud, but they're still keeping an eye out, and the conditions are still pretty dangerous and pretty scary if you're living in that area, and that's why we're on the air right now to give you the latest. The latest from the National Weather Service is that this storm, if we can pull up, I don't know if we can yet, but go ahead and just pull up Doppler radar maybe for a second while Jason's working on some stuff, working on some new data that's coming in. What we have right now is that this storm did produce a brief tornado touchdown at one point. That's been confirmed by the National Weather Service. Refreshing my feed here really quick to see if we can get anything else. So far, nothing. It just said there was a confirmed touchdown, that the tornado warning continues, the storm being south and southeast of Lamar, moving northeast. And you can see there, kind of east of Lamar, it looks like at this point. And that warning now being extended until 5:15 this evening. And Jason, if you want to come back in now and take over, because look at the size of that watch.
Yeah, exactly. We do have the National Weather Service due to this particular storm and other storms likely. It looks like we just had a severe thunderstorm warning pop up for the southeastern corner of the state there. That is the yellow box for Springfield. That line of thunderstorms that is south of Lamar, that's what's causing that. There is the line of thunderstorms right now. I'll get out of the way here so you can see it. This is growing in strength very, very rapidly. The most intense portion of this particular storm is going to be again into that southeastern corner of the state, and that storm is tracking pretty much due east right now, and this section of the storm right here is likely what's going to intensify over the next few hours. This portion of the storm is likely going to lose a little bit of strength. The reason for that, this storm that moved through before has really cooled down the air quite a bit, but this down here has a lot of fresh, warm, moist air to work with. That being said, we're likely going to see this portion of the storm greatly intensify, moving just north of Springfield. It will likely grow in size and impact the area of Springfield. So again, if you live in that southeastern corner of the state, just plan ahead, take cover immediately, because these storms have a very strong history of producing tornadoes. The cell we've been tracking that is now out of the Lamar region, this particular cell right now, very tightly knit cell, that again has produced multiple tornado touchdowns, multiple funnel clouds. We've seen tennis ball sized hail out of this storm, and that storm really is not losing any strength as it moves throughout the eastern plains. It's just continued to intensify and continued to show very, very strong signs of rotation. Again, so far this storm has been tracking east to northeast. These are a few of the towns that will likely be impacted by this system. Looks to be tracking toward Bristol right now. Again, if you live in the West Farms area, that is right about where that storm is currently. Looking at our velocity radar again, still showing significant rotation. This particular radar again is looking inside of the storm, showing us where the rotation is. The area in red here, folks, that is the portion of the storm where there potentially could be a tornado touchdown, okay? So again, that is physically looking inside that storm to show you just where that storm potentially could produce a tornado. Now, according to the 3D Doppler, this particular cell still got some pretty significant strength to it, but it looks like it might be losing a little bit of juice. However, that storm south of Lamar, that guy's growing very, very rapidly. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on that system as well as the afternoon progresses, and just keep it right here on News Channel 13 for the latest updates. If you are in this region and can safely take a picture or video, please send it in to us on Facebook, or you can email it to us at krdonews@krdo.com. So just keep that in mind. Please don't go outside and take a picture if you're in or near the core of this storm or anything like that. To show you again the core of that storm, just south of West Farms right now. Looks like it's tracking right now toward Parrish and Granada. So again, if you do live in the towns of Parrish or Granada, this storm is going to start impacting you. You're going to start to see the heavier rain pick up. Looks like we've lost a little bit of rotation out of this storm. That is not to say that this storm still could not produce a tornado. We've had multiple tornado touchdowns out of this storm, and we will continue to have tornado touchdowns likely out of this storm. So do keep that in mind. But again, as you notice, we're not really looking at nearly as much rotation as we saw earlier, but there's still a very strong potential of seeing rotation. I'm going to send it over here to Greg. Do you have some more pictures for us or a couple updates you can bring us?
Yeah, we're starting to get some stuff processed into our system right here as Jason looks at the latest updates. We want to show you that just a few minutes ago, Cindy Dana sent us this picture as she was about to turn onto Main Street in Security. You can see the funnel beginning to form in the distance behind that sign, though, with the street sign in the front ground. in the foreground, I should say. Of course, if you have any pictures, we want you to take them safely. Don't put yourself in harm's way, but you can send those to us on our Facebook page, KRDO News Channel 13. You can also email them to us at krdonews@krdo.com. Meanwhile, the strong system is causing different funnel clouds to pop up across all of southern Colorado today. Look at these different shots that we've been getting from all of you, and you can see this is the reason the warnings have been prompted at this point. We only have one report of a tornado touchdown from the National Weather Service, that one coming in about 15 minutes ago when the storm was still south of Lamar. If we can go back to HD Doppler and show you exactly where the storm... Oh, okay.
Moments
okay, he's still getting an update on that, but again, these visual observations that we have right now from our viewers, and again, we've been talking to another viewer who lives in the area right now, and he said basically the good news so far is that there has been no damage reported. He did not see an actual tornado touchdown. He was also very far away from the storm. That's how he was able to keep a safe eye on it. Again, this one coming from Cindy Davis, but you can see the storm with its history of producing these funnel clouds. Again, no reports from the National Weather Service of a tornado on the ground right now, only that it did touch down at one point about 15 minutes ago. No reports of either from people living in the area who have been giving us information or from emergency management officials that there was any damage coming from the storm. But again, this is exactly why the warning has been issued and will continue to be issued. I believe it's still going on until 5:15 this evening for Baca, Bent, and Powers County in Colorado.
Yeah, that is correct. It looks like the latest update, 5:15 on the tornado warning. And again, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. Baca, Bent, and Powers County. Those are also set to expire at 5:15 here. But yeah. As Greg said, it sounds like we've got an awesome picture coming in, so I'll kind of cover here for a few moments, Greg, and then let me know when you get that picture in so we can kind of analyze this storm. But again, the entire eastern half of the state right now under that tornado watch. You notice we have a lot of watches and warnings. The Springfield region right now down in the southeastern corner of the state is under that severe thunderstorm warning. A couple of the cells we're keeping our eye on. Of course, the one under the tornado warning, that has moved out of Lamar, but there is still some populated areas there. We do want to stay with you again. I know it's always frustrating when your programs are interrupted, but I'd rather know that you're going to stay safe out there and that we can keep you up to date on these systems as the afternoon progresses. Now, this storm up in the red box, we've seen tennis ball sized hail. To put that in perspective, that's hail about the size of this clicker here, the size of your fist, so very, very large hail. Winds have also been about 60 to 70 miles an hour and very, very heavy rain. Now, this storm system that is moving through the southeastern corner of the state right now, that particular system again has warranted that severe thunderstorm warning. Notice this cell is showing a little less rotation, but it still is showing some pretty decent rotation. It sounds like we do have a picture in right now. I don't know, Greg, if we can pull this up, maybe even... Okay, great.
It's coming into us from Brandon Sullivan. Yeah, this one coming into Brandon Sullivan. He was in Lamar when he showed us just the magnitude of the storm. Look at that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been talking about this afternoon. These storms are very, very capable, and that looks like a decent tornado, too. That's not just a little, weak rope coming out of these storms. This is exactly why we want to stay with you this afternoon and, again, continue to keep you up to date on these storms because they are not losing any strength as they track across the eastern plains. So a very, very strong cell out of this storm again. So just keep that in mind. And you notice we've been showing you the 3D Doppler again. There's that big shelf cloud that's been moving across the area. The cell that did produce that tornado, here it is. We're still showing rotation. It does not appear that we're seeing quite as significant of rotation as what we were seeing earlier, but still very, very strong rotation out of this, warranting a tornado warning. Now, the areas you're looking at in blue, this is our hail tracker. This is going to show us where in the storm has the largest hail. So far, we've had reports of tennis ball sized hail and even larger than that from multiple storm chasers that are out in the area. And again, that hail core is tracking to the north and east right now, so if you do live in that area, plan for damaging hail, very, very strong winds. As for where that storm is tracking right now, your updated tracker again tracking about 20 to 25 miles an hour, give or take. Again, none of these times are set in stone, but this kind of gives you an idea. Should be moving into Parrish about 5:01, 5:12, right into Warwick, and then looks like Casey by about 6:15. this evening. So again, as these storms continue to track across the eastern plains, if you do live in one of those cities or again have any ranches out in this area, do expect some damaging hail, very, very strong winds. These storms also, as you just saw, very capable of producing tornadoes throughout the area. Showing you the velocity radar right now. Again, this is looking inside the storm. What we're looking for on this particular radar, again, is this little red circle, all right? That's showing us, basically the radar is physically looking again inside the storm and is showing us just right where that rotation is. As you notice, the National Weather Service has just updated their tornado warning. They shrunk it up a little bit, but is still active. That is the red box here again. So this storm's still showing rotation. Again, we're seeing the rotation. The National Weather Service is seeing the rotation. So we're going to stick right here with you and get you through this, obviously, and keep you posted and make sure this thing does not touch down again. We have had one confirmed touchdown, and we've had multiple funnel clouds and likely a few isolated touchdowns out of this storm as well. Showing you the 3D Doppler again, it's not nearly as organized as what it is earlier. It's still showing pretty significant height, but this storm is starting to tilt back a little bit. That's telling us it likely will start to lose a little bit of strength. Sounds like we just got another picture in of this storm. If we could pull it up here and see exactly. Okay, there we go. So you notice these storms have been showing. That's a textbook area of rotation there. Again, very, very organized cells throughout this area. And Greg, it sounds like you might have a couple updates here for us.
It's from the Stratmore area, from Shiloh Bryce, and again you can see, actually let's just go ahead and pop that picture back up, Kennedy. You can see like what Jason was talking about before when he called it a textbook definition of a funnel cloud starting to form. Again, just to reset for everyone who's just joining us right now, we've been on the air for the past 20 minutes. This storm does have a history of producing one tornado touchdown at one point. We got that confirmation from the National Weather Service at around 4:30 this afternoon. According to everyone who lives in the area and the emergency management officials that we've talked to, there are no confirmed reports of any damage from this storm, and the tornado is not on the ground right now as far as what the National Weather Service is telling us, and they have storm spotters in the entire area. This one coming to us from Twitter from Brandon Sullivan. It's a wide shot of this storm. You can see how it's just kind of wrapping around right there. It's an incredible picture that he just sent to us, and let's go ahead and pop up the next one, guys. Yeah, and you can see again, these pictures have been taken virtually all afternoon from folks as this storm has intensified. And started to and dropping down funnels at different points. Again, the tornado warning in effect until 5:15 this evening. This is now east of the Lamar area as it continues to move. Kind of, Jason, is it still moving north to northeast?
Yes, the storm is still continuing to track northeast right now. I'm just kind of reloading our graphics here just to see exactly what's going on right now. So yeah, all the tornado warnings again still in effect till about 5:15 this evening. So again, current time right now is 4:48. So we've still got a little bit of time to go with these storms. We do have those severe thunderstorm warnings for Baca, Bent, and Prowers County. Also a few flood warnings in that area. The green box just south of Lamar, that is also a flood warning. Just keep that in mind with these storms continuing to track across the eastern plains. We're going to continue to see the flooding over the next few hours as well. To kind of give you an idea of where these storms are tracking right now, again, we have a significant line of storms. Now the storms that are kicking up south of the cell that produced all these tornadoes, looks like those are really starting to mature. As we were talking about earlier, the areas of this particular line of storms that are going to be most severe is going to be the southern portions right down here moving into Springfield. That's the area we really want to keep our eye on right now. The storms further north here aren't going to have quite the strength because as this little guy moved through, I shouldn't even call him a little guy because it's a wicked storm, but again, as that storm continued to move through and just move south of Lamar, it's going to take up a lot of that atmospheric heat. So again, these storms down here are what are going to continue to kick off and really mature over the next few hours. So far, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in the highlighted area in yellow for Springfield, southeastern Baca counties. That is set to expire at 5:15 this evening. So we'll continue to keep our eye on that, obviously, and let you know how these storms are going to play out. But the storm we're still keeping our eye on does still have a tornado warning in effect. I know we're starting to move out of the heavily populated areas. There is still a few ranches in this area. Again, if you do live in the path of this storm, it is tracking northeast right now. We've seen upwards of tennis ball-sized hail, winds, very, very gusty out there, 60 to 70 mile-an-hour winds, very, very large hail, as you just heard, and very, very heavy rain. So just keep in mind that, again, significant storm cell right now. Looks like it's finally starting to show a little bit less rotation. However, still very, very large hail. So even though we're losing a little bit of the rotation, which is a good indicator that this storm should start to settle down a little bit, we're looking at right now basically the hail core. So the areas in purple and blue, that is the portion of this storm right now again that is producing the largest hail, and we've had upwards of tennis ball sized hail. I've noticed we've had a couple people send in pictures of golf ball sized hail, so very, very large hail. Notice, okay, the National Weather Service, see this little yellow box right here? They just, I'm going to back up a graphic here. Okay, so it looks like this particular cell just south of this guy again, producing a severe thunderstorm warning as well. So again, this storm cell looks to be picking up some serious strength. The one further south also picking up some pretty decent strength, moving just north of Springfield right now. But again, the one we're keeping our eye on is still up just outside of Lamar, showing a very, very significant hail core on this storm. So just keep that in mind.
Is he talking to me?
As this system continues to track to the north and east, here's a few of the towns that will likely be affected. Knocking at Parrish's doorstep right now, it looks like Warwick is next in line for about 5:12, and then about 6:15 is when we should be tracking in toward Casey. So again, we'll continue to keep you up to date on this storm here as it continues to move throughout the eastern plains right now. And you're looking at the velocity radar. Basically what the velocity radar is right now is, again, looking inside the storm, showing us that we still do have significant rotation. So of course, we're going to keep an eye on this storm. Greg, I'm going to send it over to you. It's news time. So again, we'll stick right with you as these storms continue to track out throughout the eastern plains. Greg?
Yeah, Jason, we've been tracking